What's up, guys? This is Tyler Nowotny back here again for another quick video. One of the last videos I did, we were doing a little bit of a Reddit AMA, and a lot of the topics on there that we were seeing had to do with backdoor IRAs. And it was like 3 out of 4 topics in a row were about backdoor Roth IRAs. And so I wanted to go over that to really discuss what that is, what some of the rules are, because this seems to be one of the biggest topics and biggest things people have questions on. And there's a lot of misconceptions on this. And I've ran into some people who were doing backdoor Roths when they didn't even need to. And what they were doing didn't make sense. So I'm going to do a quick video here to just describe what is a backdoor Roth IRA, why would you do it, who would need to do it, and then what some of the exceptions are that of the backdoor Roth are. So to start off with here, there are traditional IRAs and there are Roth IRAs. Now, mind you, while we're talking about this, we are not talking about employer plans. We are specifically talking about IRAs, individual retirement accounts. These are separate retirement accounts that are different than your employer plan that you might have. Now, it might be helpful to actually just go into what is a traditional IRA, what is a Roth, what is the difference between the two. So a traditional IRA, Roth IRA, these are tax classifications. The types of investments you can have in them don't really differ. These are just, that's all they are, is tax classifications. So if you meet the income requirements, you contribute to a traditional IRA, you get a tax deduction when you put the money in. That money potentially then grows over time, and then when you take out that money, you pay tax on the full amount of what you withdrew. With a Roth IRA, you do not get a tax deduction for contributing. However, that money grows over time, and then eventually, way down the line when you pull that out, everything you pull out is tax-free. Now, where does a backdoor Roth come into play? What is a backdoor Roth IRA? Roth IRAs have income limits when it comes to contributions. So if you make more than a certain amount of money, you cannot contribute to a Roth IRA. Now, traditional IRAs do not have that income limit. So you can make $10 million and you can still contribute up to the limit for that traditional IRA. Now, with Roth IRAs, what are those limits? Because we're going to talk about high earners, but we don't like to be vague. So we want to make sure we actually go into what is a high earner and who is eligible, who isn't eligible to contribute to a Roth IRA. So as you see here on the screen, for single filers, that limit is the modified adjusted gross income of $153,000 a year. So that is $153,000 for a single filer before deductions. That's what all that means. The modified adjusted gross income is before deductions. So you might be thinking, oh, I make 153, but after deductions, I make 100. Doesn't matter. All these limits have to do with before those deductions come into play. For married couples, that level is $242,000, as you see on the screen here. So if you're making more than $242,000 total household income, you can't contribute to a Roth IRA. You can't. But does that mean you're out of luck and there's no way for you to get extra money into a Roth? It doesn't. And so there is a loophole here, and it is a loophole that is so wide open that it makes the Roth IRA contribution or Roth IRA income limits totally pointless, because it's very easy to do, it's simple, and anybody can do it. Doesn't matter if you're making $250,000 or $250 million. You'd still be able to do this. So that gets into what is a backdoor Roth IRA. The reason this works is because while Roth IRAs have income limits, there is no income limit for Roth conversions. So, thus, what you can do is contribute to a traditional IRA and then immediately convert that amount to Roth the same day, same year you do it, so that you're effectively contributing to a Roth IRA, even though they have the income limits. You're able to get around it by doing this. Now, there are some stipulations with this. That traditional IRA has to maintain a zero balance in order for you to do this without being taxed for doing it. Because you're doing a backdoor Roth contribution, but you're not paying tax on that conversion. so long as you maintain that zero balance in that IRA. So you can't have a traditional IRA that has $50,000, contribute $5,000 to it, convert that $5,000 there and say that's a backdoor contribution. It's not going to work because that $5,000 you converted is now going to be taxable income. So in order to do this, that IRA needs to stay, that traditional IRA, it's basically a dummy account. You have to keep that at a zero balance at all times. However, doing this allows you to continually contribute up to the max contribution level each year to a Roth IRA. So if you are a high earner, effectively the income limit, it's irrelevant. It just means that you have to take a few extra steps to contribute to a Roth IRA. But you can still do it every year. Before we continue, if anybody has any questions about this, feel free to leave them in the comments. If you would like assistance with this, please click the link below. We offer free consultations on how to go ahead and do this. Now, one of the things that I've seen, one of the misconceptions is, ran into a question the other day where someone was asking about this, and they started mentioning that they were doing backdoor Roth conversions in their employer plan. And when they said this, my head started to explode, or nearly exploded, I should say, because there's no such thing. Which brings us to the next screen that I'm going to pull up here. Employer plans, 401ks, 403b, 457bs, they often offer Roth components to them. However, Roth 401ks and 403bs do not have income limits for contributions. So there is no need to do a backdoor Roth on an employer plan. Actually, you really wouldn't be able to do it unless you were converting the whole amount every single year. Even then, it would still be pointless. You're making extra work for yourself for literally no reason. So if you or someone you know is talking about doing backdoor Roth contributions at their employer plan, you don't need to do that. There are no income limits for employer plans, only for IRAs. And so unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there doing this. And what I want to point out is they're doing the right thing, right? They're catching up on their finances. They're on top of their finances, I should say. They want to make sure they're putting themselves in the right position. But because they don't have all the information they should or that they need, they're making unnecessary extra work for themselves because you can just contribute directly to a Roth 401k. There's no limits there. So doing this backdoor thing where you're contributing to your traditional 401k and then converting that to Roth, you're just making problems for yourself. You don't have to do it. And so as you see here, for a Roth 401k, income limit's none. You can contribute up to $24,500 annually, but there is a catch-up provision if you are above 50 years old, or if you're 50 or older, I should say. There is a catch-up contribution. It's $8,000 for ages 50 to 59 and 64 plus. Now, what about the other ages, 60 to 63? You actually get a super catch-up provision of $11,250. So you can actually even have more of a catch-up, but this only applies to your employer plan. But if you're age 60 and you really want to catch up on your contributions, instead of that $24,500 amount, you can contribute over $35,000 a year. It's a pretty big difference. So if you're a high earner, you feel like maybe you haven't done everything you need or everything you should, there is that catch-up provision for you. Depending on your employer plan, your employer may match that extra amount as well. So really wanted to tackle this, go over this, because this seems to be one of the hottest topics. And unfortunately, you have a lot of misinformation out there. And it's actually more simple and more easy than people think it is. Feel free to, again, if you have any questions, ask them in the comments below. If you would like to work with someone, we do offer free consultations on this. The link is going to be in the description for that. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and hope you all have a great rest of your day. Have a good one.